Hello friends, welcome back to another video. I think I missed last week. I just been dealing with some stuff at home. But so today we're gonna be installing a boost gauge on the Civic. Now I have a boost gauge, a wideband gauge. I've got gauge pod, my gauges and my gauges and my gauge pod are glow shift. I was gonna go AEM X series, but I didn't wanna spend all that money on this because I'm trying to stick to that budget build. So I think these glow shift gauges are probably the best bang for your buck because I think they're still pretty good quality and they're a little cheaper. So here's the boost gauge I got, and we went ahead and got the 2 gauge pillar gauge pod. So let me back up a little bit. If you guys want to, if you guys haven't seen my other videos, we just installed a turbo on the Civic, and I am doing this turbo build, at least the first part of it, without an ECU. I'm gonna use something in place of the ECU, but we'll get to that after the gauges. So I'm hoping to answer some questions for some of you people that don't want to go balls to the wall and see if we can get away with going a little cheap and not really doing it 100% the right way, if you want to call it that. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to the gauges. I'm going to start with the pillar pod and get that to fit up. It didn't seem like an exact perfect fit. So let's go ahead and knock that out real quick. I think I'm going to have to do some trimming. One thing that I didn't mention about the pod is it comes black. I painted it to kind of match the dash color with my with some OEM paint. So don't expect it to look like that. All right, let's take this inside, do some trimming and fitting, and get it to work. So the first thing I'm gonna do is trim a little bit off of this edge here and do my best to not mess up our fresh, well, not really fresh, I mean it's cured, but our paint. So I need a straight edge. So you got to drill your own holes for this gauge pod. It came with these little push pins, these little plastic push pins. For these particular ones, it says to drill a 7/32 hole. So first thing I'm going to do, take this back out there. My plan is to put 4 of those in. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this back out there and just kind of hold this up to where it's going to go, and make sure that where I want to put these and where I want to drill the big hole in this for wires to go through are not going to interfere with anything. Okay, we shouldn't really run into any issues. We should be able to just put all this kind of right where we want. So alright, I'm gonna put 2 holes in this just to make it easier for wires. Alright, so now that we got our pillar all drilled out, let's go ahead and open our boost gauge from Glow Shift. So here's the gauge. It's not real clear because it's got a plastic thing over it, but let's go ahead and pull everything out. So you've got like a little visor there, which we're not going to use. Here is your vacuum line, or boost line, whatever you want to call it. You got some nuts, washers, hose clamps, and a T to tee into an existing vacuum line. Then we've got our gauge with the wires already in it. So don't forget to run your wires through all this first. And I'm trying to decide, so the next video is going to be the wideband gauge. I think I might go ahead and run the wideband. I think I might go ahead and install this gauge pillar and run the wideband gauge and wiring through there as well, and just use this exact same footage for the wideband gauge. That way we can get the gauges in place and the pillar in place. So anyway, back to what we were doing. Here's our wires. So I don't have the piece I'm going to use to actually wire this up. And it's basically going to be like a thing that allows you to tap into a fuse, which I'll show you on the screen right here. We're going to get that tomorrow, but for today I'm just going to kind of just temporary wire this into the fuse I'm going to be using, and then tomorrow off camera I'll just do that. I'll put that one fuse thing in. But you want to tap into a to like your ignition switch or something that's going to have constant 12 volts once you turn your key on. So that's when your gauge pops up. I don't know exactly where all these wires go. You've got a black one, which will be ground, but you've also got a yellow, red, and an orange. So let's see real quick. Yellow, 12 volt constant source. Red, 12 volt ignition switch source. Orange, 12 volt headlight switch source. Black, ground. All right, so I guess the first thing that we're gonna do is go to the car, and we're gonna go ahead and run all this stuff through the gauge pillar and through into the engine bay. Well, this will run into the engine bay. The wiring, we don't need to do that too. Okay, let's go ahead and run our line real quick. Let me get a straight cut on this. Amazon. These are awesome for hoses. All right, now where do I want these? I think I want the boost gauge in the back. Run our wiring mesh through there. And shove our gauge in the spot. Now, for those of you watching the wideband video, we'll go ahead and run this in here. Same thing. All right. So all we're doing is putting the brackets on the back of these. These are just so the gauges cannot pull out, obviously. So now we got to run it through our pillar. So let's do that. All right, so now we need to run all of our wires and hose down the pillar and get that all sorted out. So pull this cover off over here. I know you guys cannot see that, but that's okay. I just found my 10mm socket. This is not a joke. All right, let's force everything down the side and over. All right, so I'm going to start with the black wire just because I know that that 100% goes to the ground. I am going to put a little one of these on there. Hopefully you can see that. So in the side of mine, I've got these two little threaded holes in this metal plate. I don't know what those metal holes are for, but I just so happen to have a bolt that threads into it. So what I'm going to do is clean that off with rust, which I already did with like a wire wheel. And then I'm going to put this little crimp on here, and I'm going to bolt that right to that metal plate for a ground. Alright guys, it's getting dark, so I think I'm going to continue this tomorrow. I do have a fully lighted garage, but why would I use that? So I've got a coat hanger here. I'm going to run this up from where my fuse box is and get it up to the wires and pull them down to it. I've got the wires coming out down here. I don't know if you can see it. It's dark. I'm going to go ahead and stop until tomorrow. And I should have those things for the fuses tomorrow anyway. So instead of just rushing that, we'll just wait to get those. Let me show you where I ran the boost gauge line. The hose. I went ahead and ran that. There, I had an open hole in my firewall. Right under that grommet right there. I ran that out, and under everything, and here it is. So in the back of my manifold, I've got a port. Sorry, it's dark. I've got a port. You can see that line right there. There's a port in that back corner. This line is actually running to my wastegate under the turbo. So I'm just going to tee it right into there, and we should be good. But let's go ahead and pick this up tomorrow. Okay guys, so we got it to work here. Let me turn the key on. And then once you turn your headlights on, it'll light up. So when you have your running lights on, it lights up, but when you dim it, or when you turn your headlights all the way on, so like it's nighttime out, it'll dim. So there you can see we're sucking vacuum. Then we can cycle through color. Rev it some, hitting some boost. Let me show you. I still need to trim this out. So I tapped into my wastegate vacuum line right there. I still need to trim this, but that works great. I was having trouble with my fuses, figuring out which ones were the right power source. But my headlight switch, I ran into the low beam. The constant 12 volt, I ran into the cigarette lighter clock. And then my ignition switch, I ran into the instrument lights. So, looks great. Go ahead and turn that off. So, we're done with the boost gauge. I'm gonna go ahead and fix this wiring up, organize it, trim my vacuum hose. But yeah, so that's all we got for this one. I will go ahead and link down below everything that we used in this video, just in case you guys want to buy it as well. And stay tuned for the next one where we do the wideband gauge. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope I was able to help some of you. If I was, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment, just so I can continue to do more of these. But thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you guys so much for supporting me to this point, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.